All right, shalom, shalom. We're going to give all praises, glory, honor, and power that's due to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, those who were well and have learned this truth from. And salutations to you, brothers, stiffly pushing this one truth in all sincerity and diligence, risking both your lives and freedoms to do so. All right. I'd like to say shalom to the rest of the elect, as well as Israelites who may look like heathen, as we all await this second Exodus coming quickly by the hands of Lord Yahweh Shah. All right. This is your brother Hagabar. This will be a brief lesson, man, touching on the fact that these nations more and more are trying to evacuate their citizens from these particular countries. All right. You had it, when that invasion first broke out in Russia, in Ukraine, Slovakia. You had the surrounding nations that were pretty much, telling their citizens to leave. Okay, yeah, they were telling their citizens, man, to get the hell up out of Ukraine. Okay, why? Because they know there's a lot of destruction and death going on over there. Okay, now you ultimately have the same thing. Okay, that is pretty much going to take place, man, in these various other countries. Okay, we know we live in a world where you can travel abroad. You can go and visit all these different places and get your passport and X, Y, and Z. But like scriptures tell you is that we're in them times, man, of war, to where everybody's going to be going back to their own people, man. Pretty much everybody's going to end up going back and to their own countries. Okay, and you have a lot of people that are trying to flee, different different death, man, different destruction. Okay, like you had it to where a lot of the Issacharites, so-called Mexicans, Cubans, etc., have been trying to flood into the U.S., man. Okay, we know that Title 42 had ended, okay, a little while ago, and you had a mass influx of so-called immigrants, which we know that they so-called Mexicans and so-called natives actually were the indigenous people to this land. Okay, but nonetheless, you have it to where a mass influx of immigrants are coming into the United States, man. You okay, and seeking refuge. Okay, a lot of people are either coming to the U.S. to seek refuge. You got Ukrainians that are fleeing to surrounding, different northeast, south, Western European countries. Okay, maybe different NATO countries, or whatever the case, man, to seek that refuge. Okay, and that's just what happens during times of war. And the fact is, the scriptures tell us um, that every man is going to flee into his own land, man, because of the destruction that's coming. Okay, we're going to jump to that. This is Isaiah 13 and 14. It says, "And it shall be as the chase roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up." It says, "They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee everyone into his own land." Okay, so that's what we see, man. A lot of these people, all right, have been fleeing these countries that are beginning to face that destruction, man. Like namely Ukraine. Okay, verse 15 it says, "Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword." Okay, because we know that that sword is coming, man. Which the sword represents destruction. Okay, we know that Esau is the sword of the Most High. Okay, he's going to use Esau, which represents the military might that America possesses, and these beast nations to come against the people, man. It's gonna America is gonna come down against the people with great wrath. Okay, when you read Revelation 12 and 12, because they're trying to set up this new world order agenda, and anybody that opposes it, okay, they pretty much want to get you out the way, man. Okay, and you're also gonna have civil wars. You're gonna have race wars. Okay, you're gonna have again world war, which is kind of what this article is touching on, the fact that the U.S. is making plans to evacuate its citizens from Taiwan. Okay, why? Because China is constantly running drills, and mock invasions on Taiwan, man. China believes that Taiwan is a part of their territory. Okay, but if you understand it, you know that Taiwan has dealings with the U.S. Okay, so the U.S. would pretty much have to step in and defend Taiwan, man. Okay, and going into this article, it says the U.S. making plans to evacuate citizens from Taiwan. All right, it says the United States is making plans to evacuate its citizens from Taiwan. This doesn't mean the government thinks a Chinese invasion is imminent, but it is more proof the government sees it as a very real possibility. See that? Which I don't know who this guy is. This Ryan Robertson. Okay, it says investigative reporter. But when you understand the scriptures, man, you know that without a shadow of a doubt, World War III is coming in full effect. Okay, World War III is coming in full effect, man. It's not just going to be confined to Russia and Ukraine. Okay, essentially, we're getting to that point to where as the nations are undermining the U.S. dollar, causing the U.S. dollar to further collapse and eventually, completely collapse. Nations are going to go to war, man, over that because they understand that, they're trying to fight to be the next big superpower. Okay, that's why the BRICS nations are creating a Federal Reserve currency, okay, to pretty much, take the place of the U.S. dollar. Okay, and America's not just going to go down without a fight, man. Okay, and that's why we know that they've been using Ukraine as a proxy to get to Russia. Okay, and you have China. We know that is allied with the BRICS nations. Okay, is going to be right along with Russia, man. So it's not far fetched that an invasion on Taiwan will happen. Okay, when you actually think about it, it actually makes sense, man, because all that would do is it would stretch uh, America far too thin. Okay, because they'd have to deal with the war in Ukraine, okay, which is heating up. They'd have to deal with the war in the Middle East, which there's constantly war in the Middle East, but even as of late, you've had those. We know when Trump was in office, okay, he assassinated Soleimani, however you say his name, and those Iranians vowed revenge for that, man. You've also had different Syrian attacks on U.S. bases over there in the Middle East, okay, as of late. So we know that the war in the Middle East is heating up as well, man. And if a front is opened up, in Taiwan or dealing with China, man, then hey, we know America's gonna be stretched far too thin, man. Which scriptures say that the least of the flock shall draw them out, meaning that these smaller nations who are allied with America are pretty much set up as a trap to lure America in, man. Okay, and once they lure this place in, they're gonna um, again, like I said, stretch this place far too thin. They're not going to be able to cover all those fronts. But it says, but it's more proof the government sees it as a very real possibility, man. Uh, it says, according to reporting by the messenger, planning for the potential evacuation started at least 6 months ago, man. So pretty much unbeknownst to the people. All right, I didn't really hear much news about this 6 months ago, which should be the beginning of this year, okay, or December of last year. They begin with these plans to evacuate American citizens from Taiwan. See that? It says the messenger quoted a senior U.S. intelligence official who said planning for a possible evacuation was driven by heightened levels of tension both in the region and abroad, man. See? So the Most High told you that he would stir up these nations, man. Okay? He told you that he would gather these nations for what? The sake of war, man. Let's grab that and Joel, I believe the third chapter. Give me one moment. Okay, this is Joel chapter 3, and we're going to jump to the point. It says, uh, verse 9, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. You see that? It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong, man. And you've been seeing that a lot over these last years, like North Korea, Iran, okay, boasting in their military might, man, because these different nations have nuclear weapons now, and essentially they know that they're allied with Russia as well as China, So they don't really fear America much, man. They don't fear this place anymore. And that's why these levels of tension have been heightened, man. Okay? If you've been paying attention, you see that everybody is moving away from the US. Okay, and it's pretty much calling they're pretty much calling this place out, man, on all the bullshit. Okay? It says both in the region and abroad. It says China considers the island of Taiwan part of its sovereign territory and says it's willing to use military might to force its reunification, which is the same thing that happening with Ukraine, man. You know, back then during the Soviet Union, Ukraine was a part of Russia. So, hey, is China, is looking at Taiwan pretty much the same way, man. So, what did Russia do before they eventually invaded Ukraine? They kept taunting them, man. Building up troops on the border. You know, running different mock invasion drills, and then they eventually went on and did it. Okay, so why in the hell would China, not do the same thing, man? And when you understand it on a deeper level, you understand these elites push for war. They fund the wars, man, and they cause those wars to happen. Okay, so we know it's coming through the spirit, man. It says while some analysts see that as a diplomatic blustering from Beijing, it can't be discredited. Okay, all right. It says China has the world's largest navy, leads the world in hypersonic weaponry, and makes a regular habit of encircling Taiwan in military drills, man. So they're taunting them. Okay. It says the fact is, if China does invade, evacuating U.S. citizens from the island will be nearly impossible. Okay. So that's why apparently, 6 months ago, the U.S. was already planning to start getting their people up out of there. All right. Because they know that war is coming, man. Okay. They might not, alert the people and make the people, start shaking in their boots. But these different, military, the CIA, and these different officials, man, they know it's coming. Okay, best believe, man. And that's why Scripture said that Isaiah 13:14, that and it shall be as the chase roe and as the sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people and flee everyone into his own land. Okay, so these people, man, are going to begin to, evacuate these different countries, man, because of the heat and the destruction that's coming. When you read Zechariah chapter 11, the Most High says He's going to deliver the people into the hands of their neighbor. Okay, let me grab that. He's gonna deliver these people into the hands of their neighbor, man. Meaning what? These other countries, man. You know, it says Zechariah 11:6. For I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, saith Yahweh, but lo, I will deliver the men, everyone into his neighbor's hand. Okay? And into the hand of the king, and they shall smite the land, and out of their hand I will not deliver them, man. So the Most High is going to allow for invasions to happen. Okay? He's going to allow for, different Cold War, you know, proxy war and things like that to happen because he's telling you he's going to deliver the men into the hands of their neighbors, man. Just like what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. Okay, when we know it's ultimately going to lead to thermonuclear fire from ICBM nukes, man. That's how this thing is going to end. Okay, as well as the advanced weaponry and lasers from the chariots. Okay, that's how this thing is going to conclude, man. Okay, because it tells you in Zephaniah 3 that the Most High's determination is to gather the nations pretty much for war, for this third war, man. And I just wanted to touch on this because we in them times, man, and we're coming to them hot to where, these various, people are going to be seeking refuge and seeking to leave these countries that are going to be dealing with war, man. America itself is going to be dealing with war. Okay. But anyway, that's pretty much the point, man. I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh, Shabbat Shem Rakakadash, DTA Wa Baba Ball, Shalom.